I'm Lynn.
I'm Katina.
And welcome to Perspicacity Party.
This episode is all about the importance of the value of self. So there's two different things that the value of self informs. One, it informs what you're generating, what you're manifesting. Mm-hmm. And another thing about the value of self is what you're perceiving. And your world is colored by how you're perceiving, how you're ingesting the information. So there's no neutral thoughts, in other words. And when you look at something, there's a history that you're assigning to. So if you're informing what you're perceiving by a low self-value, you're going to perceive things in a totally different way than how they actually are.
You're only going to see whatever your value dictates you're going to be able to see. You are broke all the time, or, on a really strict budget all the time. That is definitely an indicator of something you have a belief about, and then they're internalized of value. You know how we like definitions from a dictionary, so
we're going to define value. And we're actually going to define it in two parts. So the first is the relative worth, merit, or importance.
My definition is worth of something in terms of the amount of other things for which it can be exchanged, or in the terms of some medium of exchange. Energy is always being exchanged in some way, fashion, or form. And so we're going to talk about it specifically in what we manifest, since we're talking about that as feedback.
In exchange, you're trading one thing that's valuable for another thing that's valuable. If the value is lacking here, you're not going to want to participate in the exchange because you feel like the exchange isn't even.
And it's not that it's not there. God in the universe is abundant. That is the source. Therefore, the channel to actually go through, that would be upon us. So if water is going to go through pipes and you want the clean, crisp water, but if these pipes have a lot of gook in it, build up and that's the value level. The lesser your value level, the more gook is in there, and by the time the actually comes out and gives you a glass of water, it's brown. And then you are confused why, but because in the way to get into you, it's dirty.
And it goes back to what you were saying about the water is there, like you asked for water,
Water's
and
there
is a form of water, but it's so polluted with everything else that it's not really valuable. And in a way, you're seeing that the equation is balancing out, because if you don't value yourself, you're going to get dirty water. So it's like the values even out.
I also noticed there's a spectrum of value. There's either the people that totally look from the outside to the outside. So they look for our outside validation, and that is going to equate their value. So you are always subject to external fluctuations. Right. Now the other side is the people that are so internal, but then they are looking from on the inside for the outside validation. So they make it all about them. Like, oh my goodness, what does this mean about me? The closer to the middle is, regardless of what's going on in, out, and around, you are clearly in balance and you are clearly valuable, and that's the constant.
Right in the middle is where we are born. That is our perfection. That is our spiritual selves. That's how we came into this incarnate experience. Now, what we do while we're incarnate is what sort of dictates where we end up on that spectrum. But the point is to always go back to that middle. We start off as divine creatures. We are all divine. We've addressed this in every single episode, is that everything is one. So there really is no separation. There really is no need to rank. There really is no need to compare your experience with somebody else. Your experience is going to be totally different.
Yes.
Your path and the way that you do things is going to be totally different, because you are totally different. There is no other you on the planet.
I love the oneness, because when you love yourself, then you become secure in oneself. And then everybody else's gifts, whatever purposes, are more something to celebrate. You don't need to measure yourself against anybody.
I just have a comment on when you were saying that, at least to me, it sounded like when you were saying when you're going through stuff and you come to that moment where you go into a graceful period. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I guess it's that clarity moment. Your heart and your compassion kind of opens up for something, and that I felt in that moment today, that grace.
I think that we forget to assign value to those challenges. And I think the real challenge is it's not to beat yourself up. It's to find ways to still value yourself when you're going through that turmoil, and then you actually get to experience that sensation of grace. Like, if you're always there, it's like you don't get to experience it when it fills your body again.
I'm working on my self-value. Do you guys have any suggestions on how I can maybe help speed up the process?
I ask myself that question all the time. When I'm in pain, I just want to be out of pain. And again, going back to what we were talking about, not judging yourself in those challenging moments. Being compassionate with yourself. The compassion that you'll have for yourself actually alleviates the pain of the waiting. I pretend that I'm outside of myself. And it's like, how would I be telling my friend who is going through this? What would I be saying to them? You know, you'd be like cheering them up and making them feel great in that moment. And it's like, you have to do that for yourself. And that is exactly the point of this talk today, is because I don't think that we do that enough for ourselves.
Things. Sometimes the process is just not going to be sped up because it's part of the process. And then I think how you support that, like moving forward, is being open, constantly looking at self, like really like especially if you're dedicated to the work, be surrendered to what's being shown. Because in the process that we want to hurry up, if we hurried it up, we might squeeze out some details that are going to be important to us later. Anybody else have anything to say?
What's coming to me is like asking you all to elaborate on something about the physicality of value. As you're talking, I'm thinking about that idea of value, of what we see, how we feel sometimes doesn't match what we see, and you know, these particular lies or, you know, falsehoods that we tell ourselves about what we look like.
Let's start with self. So how we present ourselves. Presentation, whatever the presentation looks like. And I think the value is in question when the presentation is solely for the validation from other people, as opposed to, I love this presentation, this is who I am, and I'm going to present this way, and if you receive it, great, and if you don't, great, because I'm still amazing.
And again, I feel like women have a totally different layer when it comes to physicality. And, you know, addressing our point earlier when we're talking about comparison, like, I think that you're already off track if you're comparing. That's number one. But I think the problem is that we're so ingrained to compare. What's in a men's magazine? Women. What's in a woman's magazine? Women. We're letting the wrong people inform what our standard of beauty is, because we're looking outside for a standard of beauty. If you constantly inform yourself to love yourself as you are, it erases a lot of that angst. I am fabulous just the way I am.
As is. And if I want to change something,
Yeah,
that's
I'll
up
change
to
it.
me.
I'll switch it up.
But
whatever.
the change has nothing to do with who I am as a person. So, like always, we're so appreciative
pleased
and grateful and love that you came and visited and checked us out.
We hope that you found this particular episode helpful, because I feel like I really did. I grew as
I felt like that too. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
love you. And
We'll
see you soon. Bye.